Hunter Biden's lawyers used landmark gun ruling that Joe Biden criticized to try to stay out of the courtroom. I mean, what'd you expect from the Biden administration? The Biden administration is the height of hypocrisy. I mean, everything that comes from this family is corrupt. And then you're going to criticize Second Amendment while at the same time you want to use it to protect your son. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest news as well. All right, let's talk about this news. A landmark Second Amendment Supreme Court ruling that President Joe Biden called, quote, an affront to the common sense of the Constitution, unquote. That's what he called it. That's exactly what he called it. An affront to the common sense in the Constitution. The Second Amendment ruling now. But it has become an element in his son's legal defense, the New York Times reported on Wednesday. Now, after the Supreme Court struck down New York State's concealed carry law in its June 2022 New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Inc. versus Bruen ruling, the president said he was, quote, deeply disappointed and vowed to, quote, protect Americans from gun violence. Yeah, right. Yet, his son's lawyers cited the same decision in an effort to persuade Justice Department prosecutors that a prosecution against him for one allegation, lying on a federal firearms application, would be found to be moot. Two people briefed on the matter told the New York Times. Let me stop for a second to say that we know that someone that's on drugs are not allowed to purchase firearms. He lied on the federal form, which is an offense that anyone else would have been prosecuted on if they got caught for it. But look what's happening to Hunter Biden. He's gonna more than likely get off with lying on this federal form. But Hunter Biden's lawyers point to pending appeals court cases that used the Bruen decision to challenge aspects of the federal firearms background check system, the New York Times reported. How convenient. How convenient. They attack people like myself, who's a staunch advocate for the Second Amendment, and then they want to use it for their own purposes here. I mean, just like a Democrat. But one case in the Third Circuit brought by a Pennsylvania man denied a gun permit for decades-old misdemeanor welfare fraud conviction, challenges the 4473 form, which purchasers are required to fill out when buying a gun. Hunter Biden is accused of lying on the 4473 form in 2018 when asked if he was addicted to any drugs or controlled substances. And we know that was a lie because he admitted to as much. He was on crack back then. But in February, a 3-judge panel struck down a law restricting people under domestic violence restraining orders from owning guns, highlighting how the Supreme Court's ruling is impacting challenges to federal gun regulations. Hunter Biden's lawyers cited a separate February ruling by an Oklahoma City federal judge that found a law barring marijuana users from owning guns to be unconstitutional, the New York Times reported. Which I'm not gonna lie, I disagree with that. I don't think because you're on something like marijuana, it should disqualify you from owning a gun. The Second Amendment is very clear. It's an unalienable right. But gun regulations must be, quote, consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation in order to be constitutional, Justin Clarence Thomas wrote in the Bruen majority opinion. New York's law force applicants for a license to conceal carry in public to prove, quote, proper cause for receiving one. And we know you don't need proper cause to have a concealed weapons license. You don't need that. The Second Amendment doesn't say anything about these type of regulations or proper cause. But if they want to go that route, I want to defend myself. I live in New York City where crime is super duper high. So that should be proper cause right there in itself. But I digress. David C. Weiss, the U.S. attorney in Delaware, currently investigating Hunter Biden, has not said what he thinks about the suggestion of his lawyers, according to the New York Times. And Hunter Biden is also under investigation for alleged failure to pay taxes. But let me know what you think about this. You think he's going to get off from the Supreme Court decision? Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.